So Ben Zobrist is a player, for people that do not know, was a part and it was an integral part of the 2016 Chicago Cubs that won, that World Series and broke the, 108-year streak of losing that they had. That he was an integral part of it. He's a leader in the locker room. He's a great team guy. He's a great fielder. He was a very consistent hitter at times when you needed him. He actually made an incredible hit. I think he had like an RBI double that put them in the lead in that last. I think it was like the
Game
10th
seven.
inning. Yeah, of that game 7 in that World Series. So he was, and there's the famous video of him like, pumping his fist as he's jumping onto second base
Yeah.
after completing the double. So he's an incredible part of that win and a part of that team. Randomly though, he suddenly stepped away from baseball for a year. And everybody kind of went, that's weird. I wonder what's happening, like out of nowhere. I mean, he's an older guy. He's, in his late 30s. So you're like in baseball, that's old, but you're still playing well for a team, then it makes sense for you to continue playing unless you're just stepping away because you're retiring. But this was like he's randomly stepping away. Then there was some news coming out that, oh, he's stepping away because he's getting a divorce. And so then everybody was like, oh, that sucks. Like, that's really unfortunate. And like, yeah, I could understand that. Well, for the longest time, nobody really knew what was happening. Everybody just kind of understood that, like, oh, he's getting a divorce. That's why he stepped away from baseball. That's probably why he did it. Well, then, then it came out that maybe there was an affair that happened, and that's why. And everybody was like, okay, that would make even more sense. Then the news broke a day or two ago, and the entire world went, wow, how scummy of a person could you be? Was just answered in this story. And essentially, what happened is the story came out, is back in 2017 or 20, I think it was 20, yeah, it was 2017. Zobrist and his wife were having some problems as far as their marriage. They, both being very religious, outwardly religious, went to the church for counseling. They went to their pastor for counseling. They were going through counseling, and then in 2018, the pastor they were getting counseled from suggested that Ben take a year away from baseball in order to kind of focus on his own anxiety, depression, and the issues he was having in his marriage. Sobrist agreed, took that year off. While he also did that, he also suggested that he, give his wife space and that they continue to do counseling sessions together as well as independently. Apparently, that was because the pastor was banging his wife.
I have a
So
feeling.
that's why the pastor suggested. So not only was this pastor that they went to in a time of need to help their marriage, and Ben Zobrist trusted, but the pastor was banging his wife while also suggesting that Ben take a year off, lose that salary, and then also give his wife space. Obviously, the space that he then would fill with his dick. So, there's that. It's just an incredibly terrible person. Like, literally, like,
Wow.
how how much of a scum could you become? How much of a scumbag could you be? Was answered, and we now know. We now know this is how far you can go. Literally, while he's saying it to this man's face about, hey, you should give your wife space. You should take a year off from sports. You should really focus on yourself and figure out why you're not being a part of your marriage. And I'm gonna do some independent counseling sessions with your wife, aka I'm gonna bang your wife behind the door. And
Dude.
yeah,
What?
unbelievable.
I don't understand. Why would he tell him to take a year off? Because, like, if you're thinking long term, which I'm guessing this guy isn't, wouldn't you want him to accumulate more salary so once they get divorced, there's more of that 50% of like what the wife would come away with and then you would run off with? Like,
Not
come
only
on,
that,
man,
Dylan,
do
but
it the right way.
not only that, Dylan, but wouldn't you want him to be gone, like on
Yeah.
road trips with the team and everything?
Yeah, I don't
I don't
get
know.
that.
It's terrible. It's unbelievably terrible that they would go to the church in support, and this pastor that they trusted to help with the counseling just
Trade them.
behind his back banging his wife while also telling him that he needs to give his wife space. Can you I just incredible. I cannot believe how Like, you cannot be crappier as a person than that human being. Like,
I didn't think that was going to be the story, to be honest. That's not where I thought that was going. Wow.
oh no, it's going. And so now the rule, it just came out that Ben Zobrist is suing the pastor for $8 million, basically in lost salary for that year that he was not playing in Major League Baseball because the pastor convinced him not to.
I don't know how strong of a legal case that is. I'd be very curious, but
Well, I think it's also
wow.
like damages. It's like, you could do like damages, and all that. But I mean, it is 100% true. If the guy convinced him to not play baseball that year, and like he was making I think he was probably making more than 8 million a year, especially at that time, because he was a good player.
Yeah.
So, like,
But I mean,
it's
it's not like a doctor. It's like literally you're being convinced of your own opinion. I'd be curious to see like legally, is there anything there? Is that even like a case? I don't really
I
know.
would I would assume you're able to get something for damages, because I mean it's literally lost salary, especially if he's got like evidence, like he's got like text conversations or things that were recorded, as far as their sessions and talking, that where you can literally point to, hey, here's him telling me that I need to take this year off and that's the only way that I can get better. And then, you obviously, there's the trust part of it where, this is a person that's supposed to be a trusted person, and then does that to you, and then you don't play baseball, and then you lose all that money. Meanwhile, he's also basically, banging your wife behind
Yeah.
behind
Small
closed doors.
detail.
And
He's
yeah,
40 too. I had no idea. He's 40?
yeah, but this happened a
Wow.
couple of years ago when he was like 36, 37 years old. So
Holy
he was
cow.
still playing good baseball at that time. Like, I was like, it was one of those where when he left the Cubs for that year, I was like, oh, that kind of sucks. We're losing Zobrist. Like, geez, like that's not great. Because he was kind of like a locker room glue guy that also performed well, enough to make him, a consistently important player.
Right.
So
Wow.
yeah,
That's
it was a wild story, and I heard it, like I said, for the longest time. I mean, we're talking since 17, 2018, when he actually stepped away from baseball. Everybody in the world was confused because they were like, why is Zobrist, like one of the leaders on the team, stepping away from baseball? That makes no sense. Well, understandable when everything's going on. And apparently too, yeah, so this is actually, if you're able to pull this off, this is the picture of his wife and then the picture of the pastor too. Um yeah, it's the fact that he had to step away, for all this makes complete sense now,
yeah, look at the
especially, with
pastor,
it.
of course.
Yeah, and then apparently too, the other issue is that the only reason why this got found out is because the pastor's wife found his phone and all the details of the text conversations and stuff between him and Zobrist's wife.
This is why you go to an old priest, man. Like an old, disgusting hag. Like that's why that's where you get your advice from. Not this like half Chad looking dude. Come on.
It's
Not a safe
just
play.
it's just he's not. It's man, there's so many ways that you can look at this. I mean, one, it's unbelievably terrible because there are good people within, the church, and the church constantly tries to give itself a bad name by, everything that happens within it. But there are actually genuinely good people in it that will help people, and there's probably plenty of people that have been helped by their church in situations like this. So the fact that somebody in a would go to the church and a pastor that they trust in order to help them through such a difficult situation and, massive situation. I mean, getting a divorce is not like a simple thing, obviously. So, helping somebody in such a crucial situation in their life is important. And the fact that you put all your trust in that person to help you get through that, and it seems like they're helping, and then all of a sudden you find out basically the whole time they've been betraying you, is pretty rough. And so that's like another way you can look at it. It's just, it's not great for, just everything around the whole situation.
Yeah. What a somber note. What a somber note to end on with that. That
I
sucks.
know it's not a spectacular
Fun
end.
story.
Actually, we could finish. I don't know if you want to like throw another segment in there,
What do you
because we
have?
didn't talk. We didn't talk about the NCAA ruling.
Oh yeah, I was kind of curious
Yeah,
about that.
we can end with that too. But yeah, it's just all I'll say is just what a terrible person. And I honestly I hope he wins that freaking case because he deserves to at that point.
Yeah,
I
I
hope
would
he
say
wins that
so.
case. I hope that he divorces his wife and finds happiness elsewhere. So
Yeah, you're not repairing that. I don't think that's not going to go through too. That's not really going to happen.
no, he
Yeah,
also just deserves at this point to find happiness again because he's been scorned in possibly the worst way ever imaginable. So